Hey, it's Libby again for another episode of Fearlessness, and super excited to have Lisa on as a guest. This was actually a really special week for us here at the Delucian House because Lisa sent us a great gift, or sent Yaya a great gift in the mail, and that was her book. So, Lisa, why don't you introduce yourself and tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Ciao. First, I'd like to say, Libby, thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored. I am a mom of 4 adult children, and that is the most important thing to me. One of which is my son, Anthony, who is special needs. And I'm a cleaning business owner. My company's name is Made for You, and we're out of the suburbs of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. And I've been in business since 1997. Really, really long time. But I didn't actually put systems in place and actually have a business until 2017 when I came to Cleaning Business Fundamentals. Prior to that, I had a job. And at one point, 2015, I was throwing in the towel. I was tired. I was owned by my employees and I had had enough. So I started cleaning in 1997. I was a trunk slammer. I will admit that I was an underground cleaner, and I started because I had a life change. My then husband said I'll never forget it. It was August 19th. I'm not 19th. It was the day that Princess Diana was in her car accident. So that was August 30th, I guess. And it was Labor Day weekend, and we had been out with friends. But prior to being out with friends, he had said that he didn't want to be married any longer. And I had 4 small children. They were 7, 5, and 3, and one of special needs, in and out of the hospital all the time. I was a stay-at-home mom, did things on the side like outside sales for a travel agency, and whatever side stuff I could do, I did. But at that point, we were out, and the news flashed across the screen that Princess Diana was in a really serious car accident. And I remember thinking that, oh my gosh, now I have a reason to cry. It was horrifying. It was so sad, but my world was falling apart at the same time that she was dying. Subsequently, things just fell into place. My husband is a hairstylist, and he bartered with 2 people who clean my home. And I'd be like, why do we need somebody to clean our house? I love to clean. I can take care of it myself. But God has a funny way of lining things up. And so happened the day after this happened, they called to say, hey, we're moving to South Carolina. Do you want to buy our business? So I took a look. I took a look, and I couldn't buy their business because my kids were so little, and it was really important to me to be home. So I took 2 houses that were really close to me. Anthony was in all kinds of therapy at the time. My time was really limited with 4 kids, 7 to 5-year-olds. Anthony's a twin, and a 3-year-old. So that's how it all started. Word of mouth. I'd see signs on the side of the road, like houses being built. I called a contractor, and then, it was houses at the time. Contracting, new construction was really, really explosive. So I've been through 9/11 and 2008 with the crash. So I've been around for a long time. And I've had a lot of employees. Thank God for Whitworth Crew. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of changes. Like I said, I was literally going to throw in the towel. I actually was in negotiations, and all I kept hearing was no, no. So I was scrolling on Facebook, and I came across Cleaning Business Fundamentals, and the rest is history.
So many of
Literally.
our guests have come from CBF Fundamentals. That's Debbie Sardone's training or coaching. So I always tell our listeners, if you want to learn more about it, just make sure you reach out to us so we can get you the right information. I do love your story, but I want to ask a question.
Sure.
And you said that it was the same day that Princess Diana was in a car accident, and you were like, now I have a reason to cry. Did you not cry when he told you that?
I was in shock. I mean, I was really in shock, and I did not initially cry because I didn't absorb it, and then you have to put on a happy face because you're out with friends. All I wanted to do was crawl under a rock, Everything was just literally piece by piece, my heart was shattering, you know?
Yeah.
And I put on a happy face all the time. I hold things in. I don't, well, I did. And I've gotten so much better of expressing my feelings and being able to communicate in a way where I get my point across. But yeah, I was shattered and I didn't cry when he first told me. I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean?
So it
What do
came
you mean?
completely like out of left field.
Well, there were signs, when I'm really good or I was really good at not looking at things and seeing what I wanted to see, looking through the rose colored glasses. And 2 years ago, it was like, that's it. The last relationship that I had, I was like, that's it. No more rose colored glasses. When somebody shows you who they are and they tell you what you want, you really need to listen and you need to pay attention to that.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. Like, he told me he didn't want to be together anymore, and it was like you're like out of left field, and then you think back and you're like, yeah, no, I just wasn't paying attention, or I was
Exactly.
just so focused on the kids. Yeah, and so I totally, and that's how I started my cleaning business as well, or why, because of the low or no startup costs when it came to starting it and having to start all over and control your time because of the kids.
Right.
Um, so I completely kind of understand how you feel. Fortunately, I only had 2 kids. I didn't have 4. And I want to hear, I had said Lisa sent us a book. So share about your book about Anthony. And so our listeners, and we'll make sure we put it in the show notes as well.
All right. So I had a social media girl that I worked with, Kayla Brissy, and she was an author. She is an author. And she would say to me things like, you have a story to tell. You need to write. And I don't know how to write. What are you talking about? But she asked me to be a part of her anthology. And that was the first time I ever really sat down and wrote something. It was only a chapter, a couple pages, but it was scary. It was like, I have to share my soul here. And that book is called Dust to Salvation. So that was the first experience with writing. Then, I am, and this might sound crazy, but I talk to God all the time. And I listen when he talks back. He talks back lots and lots of times and yells at me about doing things. But for the longest time, I've heard him tell me that I needed to do something for Anthony's Way. Well, when I went to look for Anthony's Way was a business already for drug and alcohol. So I started to think about what can I do for Anthony, and he would always ask a million questions. Doctors told me he would never walk or talk. They literally said, you'll be lucky if he walk or talk. Well, he doesn't shut up for 5 seconds. He talks and walks so much. It's crazy. Anyway, he would always ask questions like, why am I special needs? He's a twin brother. He has an older sister. It's then Mario and Anthony, and then he has a younger sister. So God lined them all up perfectly because I never treated him well. I don't think I did. Maybe I did. I wanted him to do and be just like all the other kids, right? So he played softball. They said he couldn't do it. Well, he did it. And they wouldn't count his hits as a score. And I fought for him to be treated equally. So anyway, he would ask questions like, why am I special needs? Why am I special needs? Why am I special needs? And why this and why that? So one day we were getting ready for Special Olympics and he kept going on.
Finding a great career has always been a challenge. But today, with the massive changes underway in just about every sector of the economy, in just about every country in the world, finding a great new career is even more challenging. And if you're a student, recent graduate, or someone else early in their career, it's even harder for you because you just don't have the experience that those who might be 10, 20, 30 years older than you have. The answer? The podcast, From Dorms to Desks, a podcast by College Recruiter job search site, where every week we take a deep dive into a topic specifically of interest to candidates who are early in their careers and looking for a great part-time, seasonal, internship, or other entry-level job.
On about it. And so I just grabbed his hands, and there's a part in the book that I say all the reasons he's special, not special needs. And that was a conversation that literally we had. I was nose to nose holding his hands, telling him you're special because, you say the kindest words, and you're special because you see the best in people, and you're special
And
because
he has the best hugs.
Yes, you're special because you give the best hugs. So all these things. And, then COVID hit, and literally it was a Holy Spirit download. In 35 minutes, this book just poured out of me. I kept hearing, the times now, sit down, do it. And I did. I sat down, I took a piece of paper out, several pieces of paper, and the words just flowed. They just flowed. And that's how Anthony's Way, I Am Me came about. And the I Am Me part is because when he was little, he would always introduce himself to everybody. Hi, my name is Anthony. How do you know me? And then he'd say, I am me. And my kids and my ex-husband would say, you have to teach him. He can't do that. And I'd say, no, you don't know who needs that. You don't know whose day that might brighten. And he does. He's the closest I'll get to God on this earth. And to see the world through his eyes is an amazing thing. So I wrote the book. I sent it to Kayla. She was like, you have to publish this. So I found an illustrator on Upwork. And that's how that came about. And he's so proud of his book. He's just so proud of it. He went to Indian Valley Library with his group, and he read his book. Now, we weren't allowed to take video or anything like that because of privacy, but he didn't want me to go. He was embarrassed. Like, no, you can't come.
Like, come on, Mom.
But Bridget, who's his staff member, she's fabulous, and she told me all about it. So we have another book that's in the works, and it's all about the little things, Anthony's Way. Anthony makes his bed. And I always would say to him, everything that I write about has to do with something that we talk about. So the importance of that everybody's special. We're all uniquely made. We're all made in the likeness and the image of God. We all have creativeness in us, right? And we all have special gifts. So that's the first message that everybody has to hear. But the second message was for him to, you start your day by doing the little things. And the little things is you start by making your bed. You as an organizer, right? You know all about that. But I think that really helps him for structure and for knowing that you have to do the little things to get to the big things. And the little things is just so much as taking a step. When doctors told me he would never walk and talk, it's like, watch him. He is going to. And he worked really hard. I mean, he was in therapy for years. And every time anybody would say he couldn't do things, or even myself, I couldn't do things, just watch us. Just watch us.
I love that. There's a quote I shared yesterday, and it says, behind every strong person is a story that gave them no choice.
Exactly.
And I think that that is where, fearlessness comes from. Like, you have no choice. You have to go through this, and you have no idea what the other side of it looks like.
And a lot of people have said to me, about Anthony, or even so much as my business. And I would be like, well, I didn't have a choice. And they'd say, yes, you did. You had a choice. You could have not done anything. You could have said, okay, well, they said this, and okay, that's the way it is. So I guess it also has to do with mindset. I'm a proponent of mindset and faith. Faith is everything. And for me, I mean, how many times I don't want to get up and get out of bed. He doesn't sleep sometimes for days, which means I don't sleep. And then I have the fear sometimes that I'm going to fall asleep and I might not hear him. And this was just last week where, he almost died. I have to lock my refrigerator and freezer because he eats during the night, and I locked it. I hid the keys and he found them. And I don't know what woke me up, but thank God I woke up. I went down the steps because every light in the house is on. The TVs are blaring, and here he's in the kitchen and he's blue, and his choking and gasping for air. He had so much cheese. He got into the cheese, a whole pound of cheese in his mouth. Thank God I heard him, because if not, I don't know what would have happened. So Anyway, it's always an experience. I like to say you
Um,
never know what you're going to get. Forrest Gump always said, Mama always said you never know what you're going to get. It's like a box of chocolates. Well,
yeah.
that's true. That's true.
So I want to know from a personal and business perspective, how has becoming an author kind of changed your business or yourself?
I've always been one to sit back and introspect. But it gave me confidence that I thought I had confidence. I danced my whole life. I competed in salsa and hustle, and I was on
No
TV
way.
and
I love to
danced.
salsa dance.
Yeah, so fun. I danced at Madison Square Garden. So you think you have confidence, right? Writing a book and bearing your soul, like in Dust to Salvation and Embracing the Journey, which is the second anthology, I really did bare my soul. I talked about things that I didn't really want to share, you know, um, and that has made a huge difference for me. Being able to say, hey, I needed help and ask for help, because I never would ask for help. I could do everything myself. And even so much as joining Clean Business Fundamentals, like, hey, I don't have this. I've been doing this for so long and I don't like where I am. Right. So that's made a huge impact as far as, and just, my customers knowing that there's another side of my life. I'm not just somebody who's a business owner who, like, there's so much more to me. I'm a
Yeah.
mom, first and foremost. I'm a mom of an individual who has differences. I mean, we all have differences, and he has challenges, and they're harder than most people's. But yet, when I don't have it all together, this may be why.
Yeah. I love that when you talked about like bearing your soul. I'm in the middle of, well, I'm done writing my book, the actual book. It is going through kind of the edit stage, and we're working with a publisher and an illustrator and doing all these hard decisions. And I was doing okay with it until I have Dan Martell as a mentor, and he told me, he's like,
I love him.
you can't delete a book. He's like, you can delete a post, a document, a website, a funnel, a video. He's like, but you can't delete a book. And after he said that to me, I was like, oh my God. Then every decision I had to make after that, I was like, gosh, like, and
Hard.
we were deciding on some illustrations, and they were just giving a whole bunch of images so that we pick like the parts we like, and then they're going to take it back and then take those parts. And then they just keep giving us more and more to look at. And we're also launching a kids book with it. Me and Yaya are launching a kids book alongside of the book.
Can't wait.
And it is, oh my God, now I can't remember the title. Big heart, big empathy, or leading with, I can't even remember the title now. I have to look at the Google Doc, but because we've changed it a few times. But I'm like, that one sentence keeps coming back, is that you can't delete a book. And I'm like, what if it's horrible?
Well, first off, it's not going to be horrible because it's you. And there isn't anything that you do that is bad, horrible. You know what I mean? And everybody, it's a learning experience.
It
So
is.
if it's not, if it's not where you want it to be, a lot of people are going to get value out of it. And that's the only thing that you have to think about. I think that, people talk no matter what. People are going to say good things and people are going to say bad things, but you have to do it for yourself. And you're
Yeah.
going to read it. And Dan Martell, I'm sure, is going to read it, and he's going to give you his opinions. And I know I had to stick my 2 little cents in when you were posting your covers, but it's only because of the way I see you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And from what I was looking at, and then the way I see you and what I think that you're trying. And I don't know what your book's really about, but I can imagine, which I can't
Yeah.
wait to read that too. So you have to do it for yourself and not worry about, is it good? Is it horrible? Is it this? It's the first one,
Yeah.
it's the very first one.
I'm excited because I got Dan Martell to write the foreword.
That's wonderful.
I know. I mean, not I know, but I know. But I've had him as a mentor for the last 3 years. So I've seen him in this growth like that he's doing. And like that book changed so much for him because I knew him before the book and now I know him after. And he's like, It's crazy. But I do have to say, for like everybody out there, whether you own a cleaning company, like a lawn care company, and you want to do something else, like you want to write a book or a kid's book, or that writing process, I think we had 32 sessions with the writer, because I hired help. Not gonna lie, I hired help. It was on my vision of what I wanted to do. We had 32 like writing sessions. And after every session, I had homework and I had to like give access to certain things. And writing a book is exhausting. It takes like, they draw all the stuff outside of you that you didn't even realize it like you had. And it is a really, really like interesting personal process to go through.
It is. It's very intense. It's very,
Yeah.
very, very intense. And you find things out about yourself that you had no idea. And you find things that you can do that you had no idea that you could do. It's like
Yeah.
everything is on the other side of fear, right? Success, abundance, whatever. It's all on the other side of fear. That fear of sitting down and saying, oh my gosh, I have to have this many pages or that many pages, or what am I going to write about? Scary.
It is. And it was like the fear of like, who's going to read anything I have to say? One, you got to get over that, right? That was like the first hurdle of starting this project. And then it was funny because at moments the writers would like read stuff back to me to just like affirm certain things. And I'm like, wow, that sounded really good. I'm like, did that come out of me? Like the way you guys said it, I'm like, that was fabulous. And all my sessions are recorded because we recorded all the sessions because they were all through Zoom or Google Meet. And I'm like, they're all recorded. And I'm like, I'm going to save all of them because I'm going to like, I want to save them to go back and reference because like they pulled it out of you, the questions they asked and what they needed. And like, and it's been a very, it's a self-discovery journey.
Exactly. It really is. It really is. And no matter what type of book you read. I mean, Myron Golden says nobody cares enough about what you have to write, what you want to say. You have to write about what people want. When I wrote about what my story. No, but who cares about my story? But you never know who life that's going to touch. Somebody else may be going through a similar situation, right? For you, the knowledge that you have, and it's different because this is a teachable moment. Your book is going to teach. It's going to help so many people get to the next level of their business or peel back one layer at a time, right?
Yeah.
So it's different in that respect. As far as my children's book, that was really about God. You know, we're made in his likeness and image. We're all special. You know, when I first released the book and my ex-husband saw it, he was really upset about the book because he wasn't in it. I'm like, you're missing the point. This isn't about you. It's not about me. It's not about anybody but Anthony. It's about God. And, you know,
I'm sorry, that was funny.
Well, I was so mad at the
funny,
time, but yeah. I mean, I understand now, like his point of view, but it wasn't anything to do with anybody. It was to do with how we're all made special in the likeness and image of God and blah, 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 blah. So that's really the message for everybody to know. And hopefully they get it. You know, it's not just about Anthony. It's about any kid, whether they're special needs, whether they're typically developed, whether they're neurodivergent, whatever, you know?
Yeah. In my business book, I don't mention any of my children. I don't think I mentioned anyone in my business book, like as far as family, because it's a business book. Now I do mention employees, and and I told all of the employees of all the companies, you'll probably be mentioned somewhere in the book. We may or may not change your name. But they were all good because they were all lessons that I learned like along the way. But for the kids' book, you know, they had asked me when we started, like, who do we want to dedicate the book to? And I kind of was like, who's the book for? And it hit me, like you say, it just comes to you, like it hits you. And I said, it's for all of those kids that have entrepreneur parents that they can't understand, like why their parents work so much. Like, what is that thing that their parents are doing all the time? So our dedication to the book is to my 3 kids, but also all the other kids out there that have an entrepreneur mom.
That's great.
That they
That's great.
always working, and that's who the kids is like, who we wrote it for and who it's dedicated. It's also though about cleaning and empathy and understanding and communication, but it's cute because we use it around actually cleaning. And Yaya is the boss, and
You could just see that.
her brothers are the employees. um, and so it's cute. And we had them all pick their own character, like who they resembled as a jungle animal. The most they resonate with. Well, we had it in mind, but I asked them, and what I had in mind was what they said.
That's great. Say great minds think alike, right?
Yeah. So it was fun, but it also, yeah, it hits you like, why are you doing this? At first, you're kind of like, just because I want to, but there's actually a reason for it behind it.
Yeah. I remember when I first started cleaning, and, things grew and word of mouth and all that. And my kids and everybody would say to me, why don't you go? Because I worked for a medical malpractice law firm when I had Gianna. I worked there prior to having children, but then before I had Gianna, and then when I was pregnant with the twins, and had every intention of going back to the work in the law firm. But, God had a different plan. They'd say to me, why don't you go back? Why don't you get a real job? Why don't you go back to a law firm? Why don't you get a real job? Like, what is a real job? And now nobody says anything to me about getting a real job.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Into a real business. Isn't it interesting?
It is, because it's funny because I'm very quiet about what I do around my friends and family. And it has nothing to do with like being embarrassed or shameful. But I'm very quiet about what I do, especially now, because I always feel like I don't want to gloat, or I don't want to. Sometimes I don't want to let my family or friends know how well I am doing, because it's always, you hear the other side of them not doing well, or they're tired of their job, or other things. But when I first started the cleaning business, people, my friends, family, they were like, why are you doing this? They're like, why are you? Because prior, in my past relationship with the boys' dad, with Billy and Austin's dad, we had a bar, we had a restaurant, like we were doing very well. And so I didn't start from zero with cleaning. I started from my experience, which was a lot, but people look down on cleaning. And they do. And we have this with our employees. We know this when we hire people. How many employees have we lost because, their spouse didn't want them to clean, right? Their mother looked down on their occupation. And I've lost employees over it, but I know how they feel, because I would get judged going to like business networking meetings or family events. And they're like, you scrub toilets for a living? And I made a point to show up with like a suit and heels on, just for that reason. Everywhere I went, changed my clothes in the car to clean the house.
Yeah.
And now, though, when I go somewhere, my friends are like, oh my God, she's rich. You should talk to her. And I'm like, I thought I just owned a cleaning company. And I'm like, well, one, I'm not rich, but I am doing well and I can help you. But I remember it's so flip. Like you just said, they're not saying that to you anymore.
Right. They're not saying that anymore. And honestly, whether I was still in the field cleaning and scrubbing toilets, I had to jump in this past summer. I lost 6 employees at one time. It was like, okay, you have to get back out there and you do what you have to do. And I loved every minute of it. I really did. Well, I wouldn't have been able to do it if I didn't lose 30 pounds, because I had bulked up. I let myself go, stress, not sleeping, not eating healthy. And I got myself together, and I was able to go out and run circles around my 30-year-olds.
And cleaning and organize it. We put out we call it a tidy guide, but it's a mental health guide on how cleaning can impact your mental health. And it's either how a dirty house can impact your mental health, or how cleaning, the actual physical movement of cleaning, can impact your mental health in a positive way.
Yes.
But it's like a 19-page guide that we give to actually it's on our website, but we did a ton of research on the both sides of how a dirty house, but also how cleaning. And it's funny because my mom, she's running, she moved away from Fort Myers, and she's running one of our other locations. And one of our cleaners is out because she had a baby, and another one is out because of the holidays. And it's a very small location. We just started. There's only 2 cleaners there. and she's running it. And she's like, I don't have anybody to clean. And she's like, I'm going to go do it. And I'm like, Mom, you don't need to go clean, like reschedule it, like figure it out. She goes, no. She's like, I went and helped the other day and I actually kind of like it. She's like, I forget everything. And she's like, it's just me and it's quiet and I don't have to answer the phones. And because she runs the office. And so I was kind of like, okay, well, like if you want to. She's like, no, I'm good. She's like, I was like, okay, well, just, you're not a spring chicken. Don't hurt. She goes, I ran circles around those girls when I helped the other day.
Same. I'm not a spring chicken either. So I get it.
And she just jumped right in, and it's crazy how some like people what cleaning does for your soul.
Absolutely. It really does. It's therapy. I have a similar document that you have, and it's, when you put your information in on our website, you get this guide, and it's really, there's so much research out there about the benefits, mental health benefits of decluttering and having clean space and everything in its space. Like, I have to have that for Anthony. We have a spot for keys. We have a spot for his lunchbox. We have a spot for where his wallet goes. And I can't tell you how many times he comes home from his program and it's not where it's supposed to. It drives me out of my mind. It really does. But it makes things so much easier, especially when there are so many other people that are caring for your children, right? Or your adult, for in Anthony's case, an adult child. I mean, he goes to a day program on 3 days a week, and he can go there and not come home with a coat. Like, how do you send them home with no coat, right?
How old is Anthony now?
He's 32.
32.
He's 32. Okay. He's my forever child.
Yeah. I feel like I know your whole family after helping Yaya read the book, and then we read it again yesterday. Even I was like, I feel like I know her whole family. I know all her kids and her cousin Vinny and the cousin Vinny.
Well, if you look at my Facebook page, there is a picture of all of us. This is so many years ago. The kids are so little, and I'm the Blessed Mother, and they're all, who's Joseph, who's Jesus. It's so cute. And cousin Vinny's in that picture. Like, people say, I didn't know you had 5 kids. I'm like, nope, it's my cousin. It's little Vinny.
That's funny. We did show Yaya some pictures of Anthony, and she was like, because Lisa sent the book and she read it. She loved the coloring book, just the pages to color in. She's drawn in all of them. I thought that was a great add-on. But she's like, we showed her pictures because I went to look at your author page and Anthony was there. And I showed her, I said, look, this is Anthony. She's like, well, he's a grown-up. How's he a kid in the book? And I said,
know.
They wrote the book from when he was a kid based on him growing up. It's the story of him growing up. She's like, okay.
Yeah, it's hard for little kids to understand. And there's so much better about individuals with intellectual disabilities today. We were just leaving Mass last Sunday, and there was this little girl, and he chatters. Scripting is nonstop. He talks. So we're walking out of the church, and I'm saying, all right, hold on the railing and make one step in front of the other and pay attention. And I'm going on and on. And this little girl, this cutest little thing, she had to be 6 years old. She turned around and she was looking and looked like curious. When they were little, it wasn't a curious look. It was a, what's up with this kid kind of look. And my kids used to get, all right, Mom, rein it in. Don't say anything, because, you could easily chew somebody's head off. I'll never forget one time we were in a supermarket and they were all little, and I had all 4 kids with me, and I'm shopping, and Anthony grabbed potato chips or something, and he put it in this other lady's cart. And I said, Anthony, well, I had told him to put it back, and he put it in the cart instead of the shelf. And it was this older woman, and she literally grabbed him by the shirt, and he was little, and the whole store stopped because the lion in me came out. I was like, don't you ever touch my son, and blah, blah, blah. It was everything stopped. It was something out of a movie. And then later in the parking lot, she said to me, well, I didn't know he looks normal. And I'm like, what's normal?
Yeah.
What is normal? What's normal to you? You look normal too, but who in their right mind would touch a little kid and grab him by the shirt? There's lots of people early in his life that have been not so nice. Where today it's more accepting, people understand it, and they're helpful, you know.
Well, I think that when people are not accepting, I think it's something in them that they're not comfortable with and they do not know how to react.
Oh, I agree. I agree. But I think
You know,
it's more prevalent now. It's more prevalent. It's everywhere.
yeah. And Yaya, the way we related to, because she was like, well, what's special needs, right? She didn't really understand it at first. She knew what it was. And it's like, and we have a cousin. And I think she talked about the cousin that we have when we were in California. And, she's in a wheelchair and she's nonverbal. She uses sign language. And she goes, well, she's like our cousin, or he's like our cousin, that they're special. And there's something with kids and how empathetic they are. Yaya, when she met her cousin for the first time, and she'd met her for the very first time this summer, because they were in California and they'd have never been to California. And there was an instant connection where she just fell in love with her, and we reminded her, because she goes, she gives the best hugs. And I said, that's just like Anthony, because that's what she had said about her cousin, was that she gives the best hugs because she couldn't talk, but she could use like that emotion to make a connection.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And I think,
well,
kids are so open to it sometimes. When my daughter, I don't know where she comes from, she is much more empathetic than I am. I think she probably gets it from her dad.
Well, she's a combination of the two of you. Yeah.
Yeah. And, but we loved the book and we loved reading it and talking about it. And I think it's super, it's just so amazing and educational, because in all of the books she read, right, even Dr. Seuss books, and she said by far this was her favorite book.
I know. That was so amazing. Tell her I said thank you.
Like, because she usually rates it from a 1 to 5 on her podcast. She's like, this was a 10. Can I give it a 10? And she hasn't said that about any book.
Yeah, that was cute. I really, 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 really liked it. That's what she said. She warmed my heart.
That's great.
And she always has, because I've watched her for how many years with the different things that, Chris would post. And she's just a delight. She really is.
Well, I think she was a CBF baby, because I had her 3 months after I joined CBF in 2018. So she was like a CBF baby. She grew up around all of us cleaning business owners, and she's 6 now. So it's crazy how time flies.
Sure does, doesn't it? Well,
so
2025.
Yeah, it is. So before we wrap up, speaking of 2025, it said you're working on another book, correct?
Well, it's finished. I am working on the illustration part of it. That's the part that I'm working on. And so, I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, before we wrap up, I always ask everybody if they have anything in the works. That's why.
Well, that's in the works. And then there's a few other things that are in the works, but I don't want to share just yet. And the nonprofit, I've been working on this forever. And you know what it's like well, maybe you don't know what it's like. So I get squirreled away. Monkey brain so bad so I finally have hired someone to actually and do all the necessary steps to formalize the nonprofit, it's an acronym for Anthony Ciao. It's Anthony Center for Independent Adult Opportunities. So hopefully it won't take that long. I did get the okay that I could, because I had registered it as a fictitious name and had a business, and then I was told that I probably wouldn't be able to use that name as a nonprofit, but I did get the okay that I can do that. So January 2nd, I have an appointment with a SCORE mentor, and he is going to set it all up for me. So
that's great.
Is an amazing step forward.
What is the nonprofit? What exactly is the nonprofit going to do, or the cause behind the nonprofit?
So the cause behind the nonprofit is to teach individuals with intellectual disabilities how to clean, how to do other things, like we make poo spray, which I have right here. We make poo spray and we make sugar scrub. And it's all things that they can do as business owners, right? We need gifts to give to our clients or our employees or whoever, right? So these are things that they can make and we can sell. There's also, I want to teach them how to clean and get them employed into like Army Navy recruiting offices and federal contracts, those types of things. So, and then housing. There is not enough housing. The state of Pennsylvania is really stringent on our housing laws for individuals with intellectual disabilities. Like I went to the Treasure House in Arizona and I was supposed to go to Luna Azure, but I was going to go there. That's in Arizona as well. And it's housing for individuals with intellectual disabilities or special needs, all kinds of special needs. But when I was at CBF retreat a few years ago, it was on my journey. I was at the retreat in Vegas, and then I was going to Arizona. And anyway, I got a call that I had to come home from hospice that my mom was going to pass, so I didn't get to go to those places. But in Pennsylvania, they view it as an institution. And you can have a group home, but you can't have like an independent living type of situation for individuals with intellectual disabilities. Only 20% could be, it's an 80-20 rule. Whereas in Florida and New Jersey and Arizona and all of these other states, they have beautiful communities where you can live together and you can function as a regular individual, right? Like you and I, and you don't have to be told, well, you can't live there. And that's really was the goal. So it's not going to happen this year. It's not going to happen next year, but who knows? Maybe the law can get changed. But in the meanwhile, we could look for properties that we could turn into group homes. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to be here forever. I'm not going to be able to, I'm not going to be here forever. I'm 63. I'm going to be 64. I don't know. I mean, who knows how long I'm going to be? I have to do everything for him. I have to shower him. I have to take care of his bodily functions, So I worry about that. And if I could have a system and a process in place where he will be well taken care of without having his siblings, like they love him, they want to do for him, but they have their own lives too,
Yeah.
And so that's the goal. The mission is to create jobs, to create housing, and to employ them and teach them daily living skills. There's just not enough for adults. Once you hit 21, everything stops.
Yeah. I'm very good friends with, her name is Miss Cheryl, and she's a special needs teacher. And that's where Yaya went to read. And she can keep children or special needs students in her class until they're 22.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And yes. And so she wanted to create a day program or some assistance because after they age out, they don't have anywhere to go as far as activities and getting out of the house, helping the parents have some, like even go to work or have free time. And so once they age out at 22 from high school, there's not a lot of assistance for them. And that was her goal. So I was helping her do some business planning, and here's like how we got, I had a nonprofit for a long time, a basketball organization, and it's a lot of work to open a nonprofit. Like people don't understand like the amount of work that goes into a nonprofit side. And, that's her goal. And she is she's absolutely so amazing. And I haven't seen her in her classroom working with the kids until we went yesterday. And it's just like her picking up the kids and moving them. And she had them like everywhere all over the classroom so that they were getting out of their wheelchairs and stretching, and just her picking them up. I'm like, oh my gosh, Cheryl, don't hurt yourself. She's like, I do this all day.
It's her workout, right?
It's
I'd
her
love
workout.
to meet her. You have to
Yeah,
connect us.
she's absolutely amazing. And she is so, so dedicated to her job and always looking for help because she can't get enough teachers' aides to help her in the classroom. And it's just a whole nother side that no one talks about that I think needs more attention. But
it definitely does. It definitely does. And that's has to do again with pay. They don't pay enough for the individuals to do the work that they do. I mean, Anthony's in a day program Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I can't tell you how many times I've seen the turnover. It's a scary thing because it's a need. It's a definite need. And they work so hard and they should be rewarded. And you get a better class of people, you get people that are really dedicated if you pay more.
Yeah, I was surprised because I asked her and she gets paid the same amount as a regular teacher. And I kind of thought, wow, like your job is 100 times harder. Mm-hmm. I think she has 15 special needs students in her classroom, and she has 2 aides to help her. And I just thought it was interesting that it's looked at almost like as the same.
Yeah, and it's not even a 2 to 3 ratio. It's
Mm-mm.
If there's 15 students and she only has 2 aides, that's a lot. It's
Yeah.
a lot.
And they do phenomenal though. Like she does phenomenal. She gets some of the parents to help. She's always looking for help, volunteers. And if it wasn't, and every year I adopt 2 families, Organize It does, and we buy gifts and we buy them like pre-made Christmas dinner. We do everything. And this year it just got away from me and I wasn't able to adopt the families and kind of do that. But instead we donated money to her classroom. That's kind of how I got invited to come talk or come read, and it was good timing with the book, and they loved the book. The teachers' aides and the students loved the book, and so it was just kind of great timing. But like going and visiting, I'm like, oh my gosh, she needs much more help than what I gave her.
I know.
Well,
I'm sure she was so grateful and thankful because every single little bit helps. It really does. And I don't know about Miss Cheryl, but I know in Anthony's program, they really stretch it. They're able to do a lot with a little. So,
yes, they are. So I want to go ahead and wrap up. I thought this was a great topic. I loved from cleaning to author to nonprofit to we just covered all kinds of spectrums. But we will make sure to put Lisa's information to her cleaning company and her book and her author page in our show notes so that you can find out more about her and help her support her nonprofit and maybe even purchase her book.
thank you so much.
And
so much.
And thank you. And we're going to go ahead and wrap up. But again, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you. Have a great one. Bye, everybody.